I've come up with a way to totally eradicate this whole idea of rejection in sales. If it's over at hello, how the heck are you going to succeed in selling? You've got to rise above that and change your mindset.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stump The Guru show. My name's Ari Galper. And as you probably know, I specialize in trust-based selling. 2 decades now. I can't believe I'm still here, which is great, exciting. A lot of great things happening. If you're new to the show, the way this works is people jump on live, ask me a question, tough question, complicated question, a question they cannot solve on their own, related to the sales process to help them with their business. And I provide live coaching on the spot. I've spoken with thousands of entrepreneurs over the years, different niches, financial advisors, entrepreneurs, consultants, you name it. And so this is a good chance to have you see what we do live. And to also let you know, I just did a interview with Kevin Harrington from Stump The Guru, from Shark Tank, which you can now see on my website, arigalper.com. It's on the homepage there. And he interviewed me for about 10 minutes. On his TV show called The American Entrepreneur. So you might want to enjoy that interview there. If you don't have our latest books, you can get a free copy of them at my website as well, unlockthegame.com or arigalper.com. You can grab a copy there along with a consultation with myself, one of my members of my team, to help understand your process and help you plug up some holes. So lots of opportunity here to get engaged, to learn more. And I think you'll enjoy the interview with Kevin and I. It's on the homepage at unlockthegame.com. So what I do to start out with is a quick theme for the show, and then we move on to the guests, see who we have back there waiting to ask me a question. These are live questions, unprepared. So the theme today is this idea of having your prospects slip through your fingers. And what that means is when you're in a first conversation with somebody who's potentially a new client of yours, it's a first meeting, it is easy to feel like the connection's slipping sometimes, or they're not engaging you enough, or it feels good, but it's not moving forward to the extent you think it should. And what happens is we end up filling that gap by talking more ourselves about our product, our solutions, having dialogue, engaging. We think the answer is engaging them more about the solution. And I'll tell you what I coach my clients on, and this happens quite a bit for them in these meetings where it kind of shifts over to them away from the client's issues. And what I suggest to them is to keep the ball in the client's court the whole time. And when you feel like it's going what I call off the ski trail, off the core process, you want to re-engage back to the core problem. So you want to basically say things like, have you considered this related to X, Y, Z, whatever your problem is? Are you aware of? Have you thought about? Have you measure the impact of your problem? How long has it been happening for? Try and keep the ball in their court as much as possible, because if you don't, what will happen is you'll be forced to start selling yourself. I don't mean aggressively or overtly, but trying to prove your expertise, educate them, and create banter back and forth to create, quote, a relationship. And now all of us know that real relationships take time, a lot of time. But trust can be created very quickly as long as they feel you don't have a hidden agenda. And the way you convey that message is by making sure that you're always staying inside their world, unpacking their problem, and circling back to their core issues. And the ultimate question will come down to this one is, do you want to solve your problem, or would you prefer not to, or a later date? One of my clients asked me the other day, said to me, I keep getting people who say to me they want to think about it. And I say, that's an indicator of you spending too much time explaining, educating, and talking about what you do. Because when you provide new information to people, they have to process it and they have to think about it. But when you just help them articulate their own problem, they understand their own world, but you're helping them expand, dimensionalize the issue, and even do the cost of inaction to it, then they understand their world better than they understand yours, and they're comfortable making a decision with you on the spot. So hopefully it helps you a bit in terms of how to keep the process going forward without them slipping through your fingers and building that trust. So on that note, we'll jump back in the show and see who we have back in the green room there. Steve, what do we got?
All righty, here we go. Ooh, different background. Yeah, it looks kind. We'll keep it. First up, I'm going to bring on Nick. Nick has been around. Hey, Nick, long time no see, my friend. I hope you're doing well. If you can let everybody know a little bit about you and then your questions for Ari, please.
Thanks, Steve. Great to see you too. It's been a while. Hey, Ari. Good morning. Good morning from Sydney. Nick Hedges. I'm the director of Resolve HR. We are HR consultants to small, medium businesses in Australia. So, Ari, actually, it's interesting that you went with that theme. And my question is, so often we're confronted with clients who want us to go into their process, who have a mindset of, well, send me a proposal, and that all sounds good. Just give me a proposal. And I've been watching you a long time and following you a long time, and I'm a big fan of the roadmap and those sorts of things that you talk about. But my question with regard to that process then is, I often feel compelled to sort of say, okay, well, not that I'm going to give them a proposal, and often my standard response is we don't do proposals, but it's more a case of feeling I have to send them something. Now, you get a lot of leads and you get a lot of conversations, and they aren't all going to convert. So my question is kind of a simple one, but how many actual emails or proposals of leads do you send to try to win the work, in a sense? That's kind of my question.
Well, what I might suggest is that to reframe the word proposal to a summary of our conversation, right? That brings it closer to the dialogue that you just had with them. So if someone says to you, Nick, send me a proposal, you might want to say, we don't do traditional proposals like that, but what we do is, I can do, if you like, a summary of our conversation and the key processes that we need to do to move things forward, with what the fee would be, whatever you mentioned beforehand. But just re-languaging that moment can possibly re-engage them. And I would say then, if you'd be open to it, why don't we do this? Why don't we schedule a time to catch up again? And I can send you a summary for us to walk through. You'll probably have questions for me. I'll have some questions for you as I put more thought around your situation. And we can catch up for a brainstorming chat and talk more about your situation. Would you be open to that? Mm-hmm. Right. Now, the other thing you should consider also, if you're taking the route of these sort of quote proposal models, is don't send a proposal at all, but instead say, no problem. I'll be happy to document and lay out a plan for you, not proposal, that we think would be best. Why don't we schedule a time and I can walk you through the plan? So there's no sending the proposal and reviewing it. It's you walking them through it live on a next call, page by page. That will give you control, so you're not chasing them and following up off the back of your sending an email. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And what percentage of people in the conversation, I guess, is that for all conversations? So we're trying to keep them all live? I mean, a lot of them are kind of, sometimes they're just tire kicking and fishing, and
that's a good way to. This is exactly what you do to filter out the tire kickers and the real ones. So you say it in a very subtle, soft way. You simply say, "No problem, John. I'll be happy to put together a plan for you that I think would match what you're looking for. If you'd be open to it, why don't we schedule a time to chat next couple of weeks, and I'll walk you through the plan page by page live, because you'll probably have feedback. You have questions for me. I'll have questions for you, and we'll customize it to exactly what you're looking for." How's that sound, dude? Now the guy says, Nick, I'm not going to be there. Just send it to me. Well, then right away. Very unlikely he'll be a good client. But if they actually want to solve their problem, that makes complete common sense to meet with you, to walk you through and get it customized for them. Does that make sense? So it's a clean filter, A or B client.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, Nick. Good to see you again. Take care.
And you too. Be well.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, we're back to the Stump the Guru show. As you can see, some interesting questions so far. These are all very subtle issues that come up with people. And sometimes we're stuck in our old way of thinking and conditioning to just comply with the prospect's wants, but it may not be what their needs are. So we, as the doctors, have to prescribe to them what the process is best for them to help them solve their problem and to avoid you chasing ghosts, which is most important of all. Okay, Steve, who else do we have back there?
All righty. Up next, we're going to bring on Kerry. He hasn't been here in a while, so let's bring him in. All right.
Okay.
Hey, Kerry, how you been?
Outstanding, Steve. It's great to see your smile.
Hey, always.
All right.
All right, thanks for having me on the show. And today's topic is perfect. And Nick's question is really along the lines of mine. So I run a nonprofit organization, and we provide conflict resolution training to first responders, schools. And I had an interesting situation pop up this week. I had a nonprofit organization that is wide reaching reach out to me and say, hey, we've identified that we need this training that you do. So we talked about it. We talked everything out. The guy I was talking to, I confirmed beginning the conversation. He told me he was a decision maker. We got to the end of the conversation. Everything is great. He's happy with the pricing. He's happy with the scope of deliverables. He's happy with everything. And then he says, what can you send me in writing? Because I need to take this to HR for approval. So he wasn't the final decision maker. He's the person tasked with gathering the information, yet HR is taking his recommendation. So I have a PDF that has all of our deliverables and things like that on it. And I was happy to send that to him. And it had the pricing that's above the level that he was getting because he was getting quantity pricing. But I'm curious, what am I missing in that whole, I got to go to HR. And then because it's a nonprofit, I believe I know what's coming next. Well, HR now has to go to the board. I think that's what's going to happen.
All right. Well, I think you know your business quite well, obviously, Kerry. You probably are anticipating the truth of what the reality is, which means your job is to bring that up with them in your conversation to the extent of something like this. Here's how you start. You say, he says, I'm the decision maker, Kerry. Great. So you're actually one that signs the agreement, right? Yourself, without any other approval at all from anyone in the organization. Is that correct? Well. I do have to go to HR, of course, and then that's how usually flushes out that next step. Then you could say, okay, no problem. So I my hunch is that your process, I think you correct me if I'm wrong, is HR has to approve, obviously, the content of the proposal. Then I assume the board as the final approval. Is that right? So, like, just subtly help flesh out the process with him, because for him to realize, the truth of what really goes on here. And then hopefully he lays that out to you, and then you say, no problem. You know what might be helpful, if you think it might be helpful, is if you be open to maybe us having a chat with yourself and the HR person, and I can answer all the questions that she may have about this and in her level there, and we can kind of just go back and forth from there, just brainstorm together. No pressure at all, but would you be open to us pulling together a chat together, all three of us, and go from there? So first stage one is get to the truth, right? Which is our core model here, to help him tell you what the truth is, which you already know in advance. Most nonprofits have these levels. The board signs off on any money that gets paid anywhere, right? That's how nonprofits work. You can't just spend unless it's certain levels. And then the next thing is see if you can engage the next level into a dialogue with the person. That's what I think the two steps to see how that goes.
Okay, perfect. That's great for that next conversation and for this one, because if there's any hiccups, I can now use that to further that conversation along. And I have them pinned down on the dates. We didn't end the call without having our next appointment on calendar. I learned that from you. So I'm set on that part. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Ari,
You know, I get that. I get it sometimes, Gary, too, where I get a middle level person that says, "Oh, we love what you do, Ari. It'd be great for our people. Let me have a proposal, and we'll get this thing going." And I know right away, just from their positioning in LinkedIn, they're not going to sign a check anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I say the same question I asked you. I said, so you're the one that makes the 100% decision and signs the agreement and pays everything, right? There's no one above you that has to approve this. Is that correct? I always say that, and it all comes out right there. They go, well, I do need to bring it to my CEO. Oh, okay. Would it be helpful if at some point we all had a chat? See, that's how I kind of take it step by step there. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Yeah.
Great.
I appreciate that. It's as always, great advice. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. We're back to Stump The Guru Show. The people jumping in live from around the world. If you're not here live, it's recorded in the podcast, which is Stump The Guru podcast, which you can grab at Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts. And again, if you just jumped on live now, I have a new interview recording on my homepage at unlockthegame.com with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. He interviewed me in his studios for his entrepreneur show, and it's about 10 minutes long, and it's a great interview that we had, and there's a lot of good insights in there. So take a look at that at unlockthegame.com. If you haven't got my books yet, there's the new ones that are available. They're on the website. You can grab them there for free if you like, or purchase them. It's up to you. And we'll go from there. So anyone left back there, Steve, for the show today?
Yep, we got one more. And by the way, the energy on the video is so extra Ari compared to the energy is fantastic in the video. I mean, I think that's something anybody who hasn't seen your stuff yet and sees the energy that was there with you and Kevin is just gonna be, taken back. But we got Sam on, so I'm gonna bring in Sam. Everybody knows Sam, but for Sam, the people that don't know, let everybody know, man. Let everybody know all about it.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Ari. Yeah, Sam. I'm a business growth advisor. I help people remove roadblocks in their businesses that stop them from growing. And quick question, Ari. Look, because of you, I have been educating a lot of my clients on how to convert sales opportunities that they previously would lose or ghost. And that's going very, very well. What happens, though, after I exhaust that and I plug up that hole, which they're very happy with, then eventually the conversation leads to, I need more leads. And there's some strategies I've got around that based on some of the things that I've been aware with your teachings about positioning and being authority. But I was wondering if you could just give me some more, just some small strategies around general lead generation, because the things that I talk about to them are always around be contrarian, do the opposite to what other people do, position yourself as an authority, not just being seen as another me too. So I was hoping that you might be able to just give me some insights about maybe some strategies around lead generation consistent with your model and your approach.
Well, the first place I'd take someone in that scenario is look for the low-hanging fruit. What that means is I'd ask them, are you inside of any ponds, metaphorically, that right now that you have engagement with or can connect with that you believe are your ideal clients? So I might ask this question. Do you have a list of a database or leads or opt-ins or something that you communicate with on an ongoing basis in somewhere you can approach? So a lot of business owners have a list somewhere. So we start there. Then what we do is we craft a trust-based email to send out to that list that describes the current issues that we know that list has in a story-based model with their issues in there, and then an elegant way to offer them a complimentary consultation to discuss those issues. That's where I start for an immediate lead generation for anybody who has a current client list or a prospect list they've collected over time. Most people in business have something like that. I always start there because if you get the languaging right, and we have a course on this called Trust-Based Writing that we can make available to those who come forward on this, but it talks about how to language email communication to the ideal clients, to your prospects, to quote, fish them out. I start there.
Yeah.
Then I might go to like a LinkedIn platform, but you got to be very careful there because that's been commoditized. But there is some ways to elegantly and artfully write messages to people for them to feel comfortable with you. That's just the low-hanging fruit piece. Is that a good start for you?
Yeah, that's great. And often you're right. I mean, every business has got either a prospect list or a database, and that entry point's fantastic. What I find is sometimes when I look at some of the things I've said, I say to them, "What have you sent in the past?" And I see it, and I think, "Oh man, that's just so salesy. No wonder you've got no response." So, but yeah, trust-based writing, yeah, that's fundamental because that positions you different to everybody else, and they're not going to usually expect an email that's consistent with that. So
The other thing I would do is I would hopefully encourage them to be in some kind of niche of some sort.
right.
If they're a generic life coach for anybody, that's going to be hard. But if they can just narrow down to a specific lane or niche, every niche or profession has an association. Every
Right.
business owner of a profession belongs to some type of group or some association. The association spent the money already to go to the wide ocean and collect their ideal clients into a closed pond. Okay. Now, if they don't have much money, they can join to network that way. If they have a little bit of funding, they can then do an advertisement through the association to the members, where they're endorsed by the association, and they just have to have a trust asset or a lead magnet to offer the members as a gift through the association to then move them from step one, which is order this trust asset. In our case, we do a book, and then from the book, it goes right to a one-on-one consultation. If you can put that process together in a real tight way, you can basically go to cold ponds whenever you want and feed yourself the rest of your life. That's what we teach, what we do. So if anyone's listening to this and it intrigues them, just go to unlockthegame.com, order our book, and schedule a chat with us. We'll talk you through that model. It's very effective. And the nice thing about it is it's very much, quote, offline. You're not on the major platforms like Facebook and TikTok. You're not battling everybody else out there with a camera, on the toilet talking about themselves. But you're basically in the professional groups fishing out of the ponds that are already stocked with whales.
Yeah, I like that, Ari. I mean, I've always been a big fan of positioning and making sure you're seen and you're perceived differently to everybody else. And I like what you just said there because, some of my clients are in generic businesses. They might be life coaches or they might just be consultants, and they're general wide ocean. So I do encourage them to niche themselves. That's a great idea because then
there's two stages, right? Stage one is the low-hanging fruit, your own lists, and stage two is find a niche and dig in the professional associates. That's the model I take, Sam. But that's a great question. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, well, thank you, Ari. That has been great. That's good insights. Right. Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you.
All right. So we're at the top of our show here for Stump the Guru. And hopefully you picked up some notes, some different ways of thinking today, different mindset, how to approach your market, how to deal with indecisive prospects, which came up with Carrie there and Nick. And again, I'd encourage you to go to unlockthegame.com, watch the latest interview with me and Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. I think you'll find that really insightful. And grab the books below there and get a copy mailed to you. It's free. We'll cover the postage and stamps. Have a chat with us, and let's see if we can help you solve the blockage you have right now in your sales process. And on that note, we'll see you next time.
I've come up with a way to totally eradicate this whole idea of rejection in sales. If it's over at hello, how the heck are you going to succeed in selling? You've got to rise above that and change your mindset.